Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew Money Marts back here again, and today is a very, very important topic. I want to talk about marriage and money. So marriage and money is a topic that comes up so often, and one of the reasons is because we know that money, while not the most important thing, is something that we need to fuel all aspects of our life. And as it relates to the intimacy of money, money connects directly to each and every one of us personally. And insert that into one of the most important relationships in your life, the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with. And it can cause a tremendous amount of blessings or a tremendous amount of problems. So I want to give you a couple of things to consider before you enter into partnership. A couple of things to consider if you are already in partnership. And then I want to go through a lightning bonus round of 7 things that you can do to just think about personal money management in the household. So let's jump in. First, if you are beginning this journey and deciding to take the next step with somebody, and you're thinking about a long-term relationship, one where you're going to start to cohabitate and potentially share expenses, share, finances, here's 3 things that you need to absolutely do. First, know what each other's values are as it relates about money. Why is money important? Or, better question, is money important? One of the things I love to ask people is, what does money represent to you? Which can be kind of an obscure question. And you think about really what we're trying to get to the root is, does money represent freedom? Does it represent security? Does it represent a sense of power or control? So thinking about what role does money play in your life and understanding with your partner what role does money play in their life can be so critical. This is going to open up your eyes, maybe give you new perspectives about the relationship you can have with money that you've never realized before. But more so, and even better yet, it's going to give you insight into your partner's relationship with money. As you now are beginning this journey and entering into a new phase of life, these things matters big times. Second, talk about your past wins and losses as it relates to money. So this is really important, and let's be honest, can be a very difficult thing to do. Sometimes some of our money history can be a little bit embarrassing. We don't want to talk about the credit cards that we forgot to pay for months or years at a time that got sent to creditors. But this is important information to know. And it's one, if you think about if you're a person in that situation, it's something that your partner deserves to know. They should be able to know exactly what's going on as it relates to their financial obligations in a potential marriage or partnership. But also talk about your wins. Talk about things that you're most proud of. One of my favorite things to ask people is, tell me about a time that you're most proud of, your biggest accomplishment as it relates to money. Was it the first job or the first time you saved $1,000 or $10,000 in your savings account? Was it when you paid off all of your debt? Understanding your partner's money story and their history can give you a lot of insight and more importantly, empathy as it relates to understanding what they've gone through to get to where they are at today financially. You also want to be able to share that same journey for yourself. It's going to help them, give them that same sort of perspective. And again, you're walking this journey together. If you've decided that this is a person I want to share my time and my life with, well, understanding the role that money has played in each other's lives, it's so critically important. The last thing I would encourage you to do is to identify strengths and weaknesses. Now, we all have things that we are good at naturally. We all have things that we tend to enjoy doing. And there are those things that we just don't like to do. So as it relates to personal money management or personal finance, identify each other's strengths and weaknesses. Are you a big vision person, somebody who can set big goals and see the future and know that what you want to build or what you want to work towards? Or are you an execution person? Somebody says, I don't know about all those big dreams and big things, but if you give me a list of 10 things to do, I can get that done. Or I'm really organized, so I can keep things all simplified. I can organize, I can keep the budgets, I can track the numbers for us. Understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Maybe you have the same, maybe they're different, but no matter what that is, identifying where you are strong individually and together, and then what you lack individually and together. So important as you start to make that journey forward to the next step. Now, let's say at this point, you're watching this and you are married and you've already done this with your spouse. And let me just kind of caveat, if you haven't, taking the opportunity to share some of these things with your significant other, with your partner, is so important. So make sure you've done that. But let's assume for a second that you already have. Now, as you are moving forward and going through this journey of life together, here are 3 things that I think you should do together, and not just once, but periodically, to make sure you're growing stronger together. First, make sure that you're setting goals. And these aren't just arbitrary goals or goals individually, but make sure you have goals that you are setting together. Goals that you can work towards together. Understanding that every single family, every partner dynamic is going to be a little bit different. Where money's earned, how money's spent, how money is saved. So understanding goals that you can work towards together with your significant other to achieve them, and set not only those big goals, but set smaller, obtainable, achievable goals. One of the things I like to talk about is SMART goals. So if you don't know what a SMART goal is, a SMART goal is specific. So you want to be very specific about what it is. I want to pay off my Visa card. I want to pay off my private student loan. It's measurable. So there's a way to measure your progress either towards it or in accomplishing it. A lot of times with finances, that can be pretty easy because finances are pretty quantifiable. Next, in your SMART goals, you want to make sure it's achievable. So setting really big and lofty goals is fantastic, but also make sure that your goals are obtainable. There's something that you can accomplish so that you have the ability to check that box. Next, you want to make sure that it's relevant. Make sure that this matters not just to you, but to your partner as well. Make sure it's relevant for your family. Yes, we all want to buy that yacht and we want to have the private jet to fly around the world, but make sure it is relevant to where your financial circumstances are right now in order to accomplish it and be able to feel your financial plan moving forward. And then the last part of a SMART goal is make sure it has some time constraints on it. So don't just set an arbitrary goal of we want to save $100,000. We want to save $100,000 inside of our retirement accounts by 2023. So now we have very specific, very measurable, very obtainable, very relevant, and very time-bound goals, okay? So next, if you are a married couple, a partnership, if you are sharing finances, you want to schedule a money date. This is a non-negotiable. It's something I think it is so important. So what is a money date? A money date is simply an intentional amount of time that you put on the calendar each and every month. It doesn't have to be more than 30 minutes, but it's time where you and your partner come together and you're able to just assess the health of your finances. Take a look at the goals. Are we progressing towards them? Are we actually moving further from them? Take a look at your income, your expenses. Check in on your investment accounts. How is my allocation doing? These aren't things you should be checking every single day and worrying about, but it is something you should be checking in on once a month. Look at how you're doing with your debt. Are you paying it down fast enough? Is the money going to the right places? Are there other sources of income? Are there other monies, extra money that you can now put towards this to save it down faster? Remember, building wealth isn't about making dramatic shifts, but small tweaks over time that make a really, really big impact, taking advantage of compounding interest. Lastly, invest in your marriage. So this is what I would say is the biggest tip that I've taken away from mentors of mine. Make sure you're taking time and money to invest into your relationship. That may mean going out and spending money on a dinner, paying for the babysitter if you've got little ones at home, but making sure that you have time set aside to invest in the intimacy of what you guys are building, because having money but not having an intimate relationship, well, what is it really worth, right? So make sure you're taking time to invest strategically into your relationship. That could be a lot of different things, and understanding how you're partner, sends love and receives love is so critically important. Whether that's giving them gifts, spending quality time with them, whatever that may be, make sure you're setting aside time and money to invest into that relationship. Now, like I told you, I wanted to give you a quick bonus lightning round. Here are 7 things that you can consider as you're maybe thinking about, well, what should we do? What are the tactics behind managing money? Should we have everything in one account, different accounts? The reality is there is no one right answer for that. And I always encourage people, do the system that works. So here's a couple of different ways that you could think about managing your money as a couple together. So first could be just combine everything. This means all of the income goes into the same accounts. We're on joint accounts on everything. We share everything, same credit card, same checking accounts, same saving accounts, and everything gets paid out of those accounts. So that's everything is combined. That would be number one. Number 2, combine everything, but also have separate fund accounts. So this means all of the money comes into one joint account, one operating household account, but you and your partner each have their own fund accounts. This allows you to do some of that fun spending without having to check in. It gives you the feeling of financial freedom. It allows you to spend your money in a way and still having that independence and that individuality without having to worry about another person. Another way, number 3, keep everything separate. So this is separate accounts, separate income, separate expenses. You have your own budgets, your own investments. You do everything separate. There is nothing wrong with that. Again, these are personal decisions. A lot of ways that can be easier, right? I don't have to worry about anybody else. I just have to worry about myself, and I need to know what I'm responsible for. Another thing you can consider, number 4, is split everything 50-50, right? So this is we're both making money, and now we're splitting our expenses 50-50. So we're splitting housing costs, we're splitting food costs, we're splitting utilities and bills, transportation, travel, entertainment, shopping, all of that just gets split 50-50. Whatever the bill comes in at, we're going to share that bill together. Another option, number 5, could be splitting in relation to your percentage of your income. So maybe one person makes 100,000, one person makes 50,000. So the person who makes 100,000 will pay a larger percentage of the bill relative to their income. So they'll pay 50% more than the person who makes the less money. And that's another way you can now split the bills. Everyone's equally contributing based on what they're able to bring in. Another one's going to be to split the shared responsibilities. So split bills based on responsibilities. And here's what that means. That means you cover housing and utilities. I'll cover food, everything for the kids, and all of our travel expenses. And now we're sharing expenses, and the bill at the end of the month is probably going to come about even. Sometimes you're going to spend more, sometimes I'm going to spend more, but it's about the same. But more importantly, we've agreed that we're sharing responsibilities. I know what's my responsibility, and they know what their responsibility is. And the last one, and I think this is my favorite one, is live on one income. So set your budget and set your lifestyle on one person's income. And then with the other person's income, do all of your saving and all of your investing. Now this becomes very powerful because as you grow over time, you can both proportionally increase your lifestyle, but significantly increase your wealth, your savings, your investments, and your financial planning program. So these are 7 quick things to think about as your options for managing money together as a partnership, as a married couple. And I hope that brings you a lot of success. Wherever you are in this journey, tune in every single time we've got a new video up here. Share it with your friends. Hit the like and subscribe button, and do all those other things that people do down below in this part, right down here. This is where they do it. I'm talking to you.